Welcome back to Renegade GCM. Today we have a deck tech video featuring OP09 Marshall D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. He has a 5 life, 5,000 power leader with the 4 Emperors and Blackbeard Pirates archetype. He has the ability of your on play abilities don't activate. Activate main, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent's on play abilities don't activate. So you see, this is a control deck. They're just trying to make sure that your opponent won't be able to gain advantage by playing these powerful on-play abilities. With you having your own on-play ability shut off, it doesn't affect if you're because we don't run on-play. Most of ours, we have our top end has an activate main. Most everything has activate main if they have an ability. All right, so up first, we are running 4 of the Laboon from EVO1, the 4 drop 5,000 power character. He has 1,000 counter. Activate main, you may rest this character to give up to one of your opponent's characters cost -4 for the turn. So we do have cost reduction as most black decks do. That's their main form of removal is reducing the opponent's character cost down low enough to use it with removal spells, such like some of the stuff we have in the deck as well, which we'll go over. Up next we have 2 of Jack from OP08. He's not searchable. He's a 7 drop, 8,000 power, no counter, but he does have a static ability that this character has +4 cost, making him an 11 drop while he's on the field. That's good against your like your black matchups who want to reduce your character cost. So given that extra +4 against most matchups, it's irrelevant, but it does come, in clutch against the like black decks. So activate main. You may rest this card, draw 1 card, and trash 1 card from your hand. Then you KO up to one of your opponent's cost 3 or lower characters. So this is like one of our forms of removal that we have in the deck to pair up with our cost reduction. He doesn't have a counter, so worst case you can always pitch him to your leader effect to shut off your opponent's on play abilities. Or he's a 7/8 body at worst. So up next we have 4 Van Augur from OP09 with the Blackbeard Pirates type. 5 drop, 6,000 power, 1k counter. He has an ability activate main. You may rest this character. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost for the turn. And then he has on KO, you draw a card. So it is a KO effect, so if your opponent somehow manages to trash it, you won't get the card draw, but anything that KOs it will draw you a card, whether through an effect or through combat. And it does give -3. So, like these two on the field together, Jack could potentially take out a 6 drop. These two together here, he could take out a 7 drop. So up next, this is one of our main beaters of the deck. He's a 4 drop, 5,000 power Jesus Burgess from OP09 with a 1,000 counter, Blackbeard Pirates. This character cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects. So it's important to note here it is about KO'd effects because there is cards that trash or put your opponent's character in the trash. So if it doesn't say KO in the effect, it gets around this ability. It just can't be KO'd. Now, if your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, this character gets plus 1,000 power for every 4 cards in your trash. And we have plenty of ways in this deck to fill our graveyard. Like you said, with Jack, you can draw 1, trash 1. Our leader effect has that ability. We have the stage. We have different things that will fill up our trash for us. So he's a good beater. If your opponent doesn't have an answer for it, he can carry the game for you. So here we have Shiru from OP09, Blackbeard Pirates, 3 drop, 4,000 power character. He's in here with a 2k counter. That's what we mostly use him for, he's just a 2k. But he has Dawn 1 when attacking. You may trash 2 cards from your hand, draw 2 cards. So by putting a Dawn on him makes him a 5k swing, and you can filter a little bit if needed. But most of the time, just a 2k, but he does have some utility when the time you need. Up next, we have Stronger from OP09. He's Blackbeard Pirates type as well as Animal. He's a 1 drop, 0 power, 2k counter. Activate main. You may trash 1 card from your hand and this character. If your leader has a Blackbeard Pirates type, draw 1 card. Then give up to one of your opponent's costs -2 for the turn. one of your opponent's characters. This one, 99% of the time, is just going to be a 2K. I personally don't think that the ability, you're losing two cards. You're using the Dawn to play it. You have to trash a card from hand, and then you got to trash this character. It's way too much cost for the effect, but it's there if you need that extra -2. But 99% of the time, he's just gonna be a 2K in hand. Doc Q, he's one of our another removal card for us. He's a 2-drop 0 power Blackbeard Pirates from OP09. He has 1,000 counter. Activate main. You may rest this character. If your leader has a Blackbeard Pirates type, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 1 or lower characters. So he can help get rid of like small blockers, the opponent's searchers, but most of the time you're gonna have to pair him up with like Von Augur or Laboon to make him actually get rid of something you want to get rid of. But he does have the on KO ability to draw a card, so a lot of times we'll play him out. We'll activate his ability to remove their searcher, and then they'll swing into it on their turn, which is fine. And then we get to draw a card from it. But that's what he is. It's just a 1K. He can remove small bodies, but he can start helping you out when you got, your cost reduction online. So up next, we're running 2 copies of Basco Shot, Blackbeard Pirates from OP09. He's a 2-drop 2,000 power, 1K counter, blocker. They don't have to be anything crazy. Their blockers are there to absorb hits. He's 1K counter at the worst, and you can trash him to the leader if need be. He does come in handy though. Just needing that little blocker without having to use all 10 like we do here on the next card. Marshall D. Teach. 4 Emperors Blackbeard Pirates from OP09. The 10-drop 12,000 power blocker. Has no counter, but he has activate main once per turn if your leader has the type Blackbeard Pirates, and if this character was played this turn, up to one of your opponent's leader effects are negated for the rest of the turn. Then up to one of your opponent's character effects are negated until the end of your opponent's next turn. That character also cannot block. Okay, so it's a lot of wordage on this card. So when the first part where you're gonna negate your opponent's leader effect, it's just for the turn that you play this. So mostly utilized against Shanks just so they can't do their -1,000. Uh, but and Bonnie, it also helps with Bonnie. But most leaders don't really have reactive effects. Like Bonnie and Shanks are the two that I could think of right off the top of my head. And that just negates their effect. They can attack, so then the character that you choose won't be able to attack the following turn, and any effect that they have will be negated for their turn as well. Mostly, we use this to either stop a big body from attacking, or we target one of their blockers so they can't use their blocker ability if we're trying to push for game. But most of the time I use this on like their biggest body on the field, just so I don't have to worry about trying to counter out of that hit or using this blocker to absorb it. We are running 4 of him. He has no counter, but the no counter part isn't really that big of an issue in this deck because we have ways to filter with Shiru. We can trash him with Teach and some other effects. So here's our 1-drop 1,000 power 1K counter Searcher from OP09, Lafitte, Blackbeard Pirates. We're running 4 copies of this. Where it says activate main, you could rest this character in one of your Dawn. So look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Blackbeard Pirates type card and put it in your hand. Then place the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So we do have events with the Blackbeard Pirates type, so it can find those. It can find most of your characters. But yeah, so the wording here was a little different than like the normal blockers, but it's the same concept. Pay 1, rest it. So they just worded it different for OP09 for some reason. But yeah, just pay 1, rest it, and top 5. It's a searcher. 1K counter at worst, trashable if need be. So here we're getting into some of our removal. We're running EVO1 Shygun Finger Gun. It's a CP9 archetype, so unsearchable, but it's a 4-drop event where it says main, you may trash the top 2 cards of your deck, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 5 or less. So that'll help us get, we have the cost reduction, but a lot of like the 5s are good targets without minimal having to like minimize their cost. But if we have to, we have Laboon, we have Van Auger, and technically stronger if we need to. It has a trigger where you can activate the card's main effect. So just a nice one, especially when you get out of life. It can save you the game if they're swinging in, and that's like one of your lives, and then you can KO one of their potential other attacks. Just a good card for the deck. Up next, this is on this. Then the sim is called "This Is My Age," but I think the game's called "My Era Begins" or something like that. It's Blackbeard Pirates OP09 event, one drop. This is the search event. So main, look at the top three cards of your deck and reveal up to one Blackbeard Pirates type card other than this card and put it in your hand. Put the rest of the cards into your trash. So this will help us fill up the trash for like Jesus Burgess. And it has the trigger effect. You can activate its main effect. So that's just nice in life. When you get hit, you can maybe potentially find a 2K to save you from getting another damage. So we're running three copies of Liberation here. In the game, it'll show up as like Black Hole. It's a 4-drop event, Blackbeard Pirates type from OP09. It says main, if your leader has a Blackbeard Pirates type, choose up to one of your opponent's characters and negate their effects for this turn. Then, if that character has a cost of 4 or less, KO that character. This is really good against cards that can't be KO'd by effects. So you're completely blanking out whatever effects whatever abilities they have, and if it's 4 or less, at the time this card resolves, you just KO it. Now the trigger effect is like not the greatest. It says negate the effect of one of your opponent's leaders or characters during this turn. So I I have gotten where my opponent had this in life and they hit the trigger and they stopped my character with rush. They took away rush. So I mean it does come up, but most of the time I'm just gonna keep this in hand and utilize the effect the following turn. But there are the occasions where if your opponent is running a rush character and you can turn off their rush, hey, do it. Last card of the deck, we have three copies of the Blackbeard Pirate stage. Or no, yeah, this is a stage. I don't know why it says event, but this is definitely a stage. From OP09, it's a one drop. Activate main. I don't even think that's the name either. Uh, can't remember the name off the top of my head. I have it, a real life copy of this deck, but anyways, activate main. You may trash one card from your hand, then rest this stage. Look at the top three cards of your deck, reveal up to one Blackbeard Pirates card, and put it in your hand. Now, this one, place the rest at the bottom of your deck. So the stage puts them at the bottom of your deck. The search event trashes the remainder. So when you're playing this in paper, just remember that this one trashes them. This one puts them at the bottom. With Blackbeard Pirate archetype being a fairly new archetype with OP09, there isn't really a lot of adjustments, like options for like changing the list, because pretty much I mean, you can mess around with the ratios, but the deck is pretty much figured out. Um, I have seen people, if like, I know Laboons are expensive, so some people don't have the Laboons, so they'll run like the 4-drop Kuzan from like OP02. It just when attacking it gives something -4, and then it has the on play draw card. But like Blackbeard shuts off your on play, but the one attacking can give -4. So I do see people trying to slot this one, Kuzans in place of Laboon, and I think it's just more of a budget friendly option. But like I said, this one here is not in every list. I've seen some lists that don't run the stage. Now there's another event. See if I can remember what that's called. I know it's a CP9 card. Let's see, sorry about this. I didn't have it loaded up ahead of time. It's like I know it's a CP9 card. It has a decent trigger. I think that's why some people were testing with that. Let's see if I can find it right here. Tempest Kick Sky Slicer. So 2-drop event main KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost 0, or up to one of your opponent's stage with a cost of 3 or less. But the trigger is draw 2 cards. So I did see some people running this in their list. Just because that trigger to draw 2 cards is really nice because Blackbeard does go low on hands size quite often. And when you're getting up, like when you get to your 10 dawn turn, you pretty much have this card in hand and maybe a 1K or a 2K left. So like being able to, where's it at? Right there. Being able to draw cards off life, I definitely see a place for it. I just don't know. Like I said, I've not really got too much testing with this. Uh, I have zero luck when it comes to black decks. I like the idea behind them, but it's more of a control, and I'm more of an aggro player, so it's just definitely kind of hard for me to switch mindsets to go control. But I have put up, we'll be putting up some gameplay videos with Blackbeard with this list here that I've showcased. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more One Piece content. I do try to put out daily content. We are trying to grow the channel, so make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. All right, guys, see you in the next one.